All right, how's it going, everyone? Back here with another video. Really want to talk about sex and P4P. Just kind of go on a little rant here. Unfortunately, I had a link that fell through. It was gonna be a generational link for me. I think this girl was really hot, like an eight. Super my type. Just fell through, I mean, that's the nature. Like, if you watch my NT video, if you watch my first video about just being accepting of the challenges, that's kind of like the cards I've been dealt. Is just at any time I know I could be ghosted, I know I could be broken up with or anything. It doesn't matter how many times, what kind of interest they've shown initially, what kind of how much we've been hitting it off, how if we've even like had sex before. If I what there's been times where I've smashed a girl, watched her ejaculate, like watched her have an orgasm. And female ejaculation is a thing, so like it's kind of like undeniable. Like, okay, she probably got off on that. And then, but obviously, male ejaculation, that happens all the time with a guy finishing, and female ejaculation doesn't work that way. A girl could finish multiple times actually in a sex session. Guys can't do that. But my point is, I know she enjoyed it, and then a month later we're breaking up. And this stuff has happened. So all the stuff that it's just different. If you're sub 8, non NT, that kind of stuff, you just kind of have to be accepting in 2025 if you have a different dating bracket. And so I kind of turns with it. I missed out on this generational link. I don't really think I've considered myself someone who's smashed like an 8 before. I think maybe 6s and 7s. But not dumpster diving or anything. But anyway, just had to get that off my chest. In this trying time of 2025, I got flaked on real hard, and I don't think she's coming back. So yeah. Anyway, just want to talk about why I think that hurt me so much. So me personally, even though I'm kind of an advocate for P4P and stuff like that, I think guys should explore their value, right? Their geo all encompassing, value all across the world. And I'm all for that. But I will also say this, it's kind of cope in a sense that the girl in the US or whatever, first world westernized place is almost always gonna be, granted the same genetic framework, right? The same genetic framework. She's almost, and granted, she cares about the male gaze, right? Because not all Western women are gonna care about the male gaze. So granted, same genetic framework as whatever foreign girl we're going to compare it to, whatever girl in Thailand, whatever girl in Colombia, anything like that, right? The problem is the girl in the Western world is going to have a little bit more to talk about with you, so you're going to be more engaged with her in general. Like for example, one of my moves that kind of always works with me is I kind of get to talking to a girl about like a TV show or anime we're both into, and then I kind of try to segue that into like a Netflix and chill session. And it's a lot, you just kind of ease into it a lot better because your cultural colloquialisms, you guys share those cultural shared values, and you share interests, and it's a lot easier to communicate with this person as is in general. Now on top of that, this westernized woman who does care about the male gaze that you're trying to court, she has access to things like Booty Pop Fitness Class, Lifetime Fitness. She has access to Ulta Beauty. She has access to Kim Kardashian's Skims brand. Like, she has all these different looks max kind of things that by nature exist for her in her culture that she can indulge on. She's got the I'm not gonna go. She's got the Chanel perfume. She's got the lingerie and all that. But anyway, um, and that's the thing, is that even though these girls in these other countries can doll up and be really nicely dolled up, someone who's looks max, cares about the male gaze, has the same genetic framework, and is in a Western country, that other foreign woman cannot compete with that. She cannot. And I think you're just coping if that's what. So that's what I'm just trying to say, is that if you do score with like Western woman, not only are you like, you have to pay for it in the long run, but you don't have to like pay for it up front. It's not like you're hiring a prostitute or anything like that, right? So anyway, this other thing I really want to talk about too is me personally when it comes to like sex. If I were to P4P or something like that, I'm always using a condom, and I hate condoms. Condoms for me are like, imagine you're trying to run a 100 millimeter race, right? Try you run your 100 millimeters at first. That's what it's like without a condom. It's like you're free, you're just running, you're doing your thing. Now, with a condom, imagine taking like one of those grocery plastic bags, like you like flip it out. Um, put that over your head, tie it around your neck, and then run your 100 millimeter race. That to me is what a condom is like. As my male experience, that's what wearing a condom has been like. It's not great, and I don't think women understand this enough. That like, to be able to like do your thing, it takes like it's like a strong effort, and you also have to be like practiced and stuff. Like, I don't think a lot of these guys who are virgins and stuff, if they have a girl who's like ready to go with them, I don't know if they'd be able to like throw their stuff and, they can like put it on themselves first and then they can like actually go through with the act. Now, I'll also say this with, going back to the westernized woman, right? If she's someone I've built up some level of conversation with already, we've determined like mutual interests and stuff, and then, okay, we're about to have sex. I'll ask that girl, I'll be like, hey, are you clean? And if she tells me yes, I'll be a lot more comfortable with that girl, and I'd be even down to do something like I they call it, I think, like bareback BBJ. I hate all these damn terms, but basically it's a blowjob without a condom, and that's to me is like my best experience that I'm comfortable with because I'm not busting in any of these broads. I'm not. I'm just not doing that. I'm not doing none of that. Um, but I think that is great. That to me is like the bee's knees of like sex for me. Um, And the other thing too is it's just oral sex is just a little bit safer. So you're at much low risk of like STDs, STIs, stuff like that. But it's not significant, but it is noticeable. It's definitely testable. Um but and then, I think sex with a condom is fine too, vaginal coitus and stuff. But it's like, man, I'm wearing a condom because look at some of these STD reports, y'all, with Gen Z women. I mean, 55.8% of chlamydia groups come from young adults 15 through 24, and, most of those are going to be women. I mean, we just know that because women um, tend to just, because I think a lot of guys aren't having sex. I think that's why women are, STDs, STIs are more common with them. So, yeah, that's how I feel about it. It's coitus, that's fine. It's just, I personally want to wear a condom. Of course, if I'm doing P4P, which I've never done, but I'm an advocate for. I think guys should explore their values, stuff like that. Um, I'm wearing a condom. Even if she's gonna blow me, I'm wearing the condom. I'm not like when it comes to like sex work and stuff like that. I'm wearing the condom now. Just a little bit stuff about but the one advantage, going back to my other point real quick, the one advantage I feel like the Western woman does have is if I built up that kind of colloquial cultural trust, like, and we're hitting it off and we're about to have sex and she tells me she's clean, I don't want to like deny the male experience for myself where it's like my point is I don't want to be a cuck who's always wearing a condom. Let me have this like one thing. So I like those bareback blowjobs, all right? And the only time I feel comfortable doing that is with basically a partner who I have the same kind of like cultural trust with and that kind of stuff. And she's telling me she's clean. I'm not going as far as to like I'm dragging her ass to the STD clinic, but I do know I'm kind of taking a risk because I'm not doing that. But I don't know, y'all, because like technically I feel like that's the correct move on the chessboard, right? Is go out to the STD clinic with your partner, just get that so you just know. Like, for example, if you're having a kid with someone, aren't you gonna get the genetic test, the parental test, the are you the father? It's kind of like the same thing. Um, her just telling you, hey, I'm clean. You can take that as face value, and that's what I've done throughout my life, and I've gotten I've done okay with that. I haven't had any issues or anything. But even then, I still see my method as somewhat being flawed. Even though I'm kind of checking stuff out, I think I'm exploring stuff a lot more than the average guy is. I still do see flaws in my process. Now, going on to this page here, this is sex work in Colombia. Uh, you know, they have a lot of Venezuelan immigrants and stuff, so those it's cheaper with those, but the Colombian rates, I guess, are more expensive. But the and that comes a lot of that comes from Venezuela is in a desperate state right now with this economy, hyperinflation, stuff like that. So a lot of these immigrants are willing to like work for less. Um, Colombia also, I will say this: there are places you should go. Like there are brothels, I guess, that are a lot nicer. I think those girls get like checked out a lot more and stuff. I think they're also going to be a lot better looking, and they have like facilities for you to kind of like do the deed there and stuff. I had friends who gone to these places. I think the rates are closer to like $100, but it's also like you kind of get what you pay for. You get a more of like a 5-star experience. I think this like AI overview stuff here, these are like street prices. So it's up to y'all. I mean, I'd personally rather, $100. Um, that's not too big of a deal. Now, I'll also say this: sex work is legal in one part of the U.S., being Nevada. You have to go specifically to somewhere like Reno or something like that, like outside of Reno. And there's places like Mustang Ranch or whatever. But this is ridiculous, y'all. Like thousands of dollars for a session. It just goes to show the male desperation in the United States and just kind of like the state of sex here and how it kind of like just kind of controls our culture. It's like if not only can you not just go out and do it in your own home state, you have to go to like this other state in Nevada. And then once you're there, you pay all this money to get there, you have to pay all these thousands of dollars. Of course, you'd rather go somewhere like Colombia or even like Uruguay. And I think Uruguay is interesting because I think they have a lot more public health is kind of like involved and like they probably have more testing and stuff. See, it says here the brothels need to be registered with the Ministry of Public Health and Ministry of Interior. So I think that goes to show they maybe have a little bit more regulation than Colombia. Um, but yeah, I mean, of course, you could look into it. Some you're into. You can go to the Netherlands. They probably have a lot more of that control, public health kind of measures. But also, you probably pay a lot more in the Netherlands. You're talking about spending in the euro versus these Colombian dollars or something. But with that being said, I think I've said all I need to say. Just remember to conclude. I think a lot of guys kind of cope with dating foreign women, albeit I think foreign women are beautiful, all that. But it's just the problem is a Western woman who cares about the male gaze, who has that same genetic framework, is just going to be able to go a lot further because they're also going to have cultural familiarities with you, and it's going to be easier to conversate with them. And then for me personally, I'm just a lot more comfortable doing some acts without a condom with a person like that who tells me they're clean. Whereas if I was going overseas or something and doing P4P, I'd be a lot more like condom self protection heavy kind of thing. But that's just how I'm feeling about it. I'd also be open to like dating overseas. Maybe you meet a girl, meet her family. I'd be maybe a little more comfortable with her. But I'm only in my late 20s. I got more years to live, and we'll see where we go from here. And yeah, it sucks I got ghosted and flaked on. But and I'm also on a crazy dry streak, which is to be expected after I broke up with my last girl. But I knew that going into this, I was like, hey, even though I have to leave, it's not worth putting my peen in 6 out of 10. It's not worth putting my peen in a girl who's 6 out of 10 hot. It's not worth that risk. I got to break up with this girl, and then now basically I'm at a point, and I knew when I did that, I was like, I don't know where my next meal is going to come from, and that's what a lot of guys' lives is like. A lot of Gen Z, especially, like, but a lot of men in general in westernized countries, they don't know where the next meal is going to come from. Meal being like, I guess their next the next time they get to have sex and the human experience of sex. And for sex is incredibly important for guys. It's like a drive. It's like a it gives you like a will to live. Like it's very hard to explain, but you feel very incomplete without it. And to some degree, I almost remember like 1920 still being a virgin and stuff like that, and I still remember that as I don't like, even though I wanted it and stuff like that, I don't remember it feeling like this. Like I feel like almost now that I've had it, it's like a stronger drive. Like it's almost like worse. It's almost like I would have been better just not even dealing with it in the first place. But I wouldn't go as far as to say that. But I'm just trying to describe to y'all like the honest experience that I'm kind of going through right now. But yeah, so crazy dry streak. I mean, several several months. I don't want to number it. It's less than a year, y'all, but it's been a long time. Uh, and Yeah, and that's the thing that sucked. There's even though I left this girl who's kind of like BPD tendencies and was like only 6 out of 10 hot. If she was like 7 or 8 out of 10 hot, of course I'm staying with her. And that's the effed up thing, right? Is guys are willing to put up with some degree of crazy. There's like the hot crazy matrix where if she's hotter, you can put up with more crazy. But it's just man. But anyway, the thing that sucked is leaving this girl is I knew going into it is like I don't know when the next time I'm gonna ever have sex is, but I kind of did to myself, sure, I guess, but damn, I mean, the other thing is it just sucks. Like it sucks that this is the state of existence for most guys. Is it's they literally live lives like average Chinamen in the 1961 Great Chinese Famine, where it's like they don't know where the next meal is going to come from. They straight up don't know. They're starving to death, and then they consider eating stuff like bushmeat and stuff. Bushmeat being like dumpster diving males and stuff. And I hope I never ever get that desperate, but all right, guys. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, and broomstick out.